Good afternoon. My name is Jose Maria Zavala Cervantes. I am from Group 1 in Tech Milenio, and today I'm going to show you how my application works for the challenge number 3. So, my task was to design a multimedia and sound tool or display including the numbers, the listed numbers from 0 to 10, and the vowels of the English language. So, each one of the icons you can see are a button, each one of them, and whenever I click on any of them, it will show a big image on the top of the screen instead of the Let's Learn image you can see right now, and it will also play the correct pronunciation of either the letter or the number. So I also added some sort of a home screen or a welcome screen, which has a little timer, and whenever that timer comes to an end, it will change automatically from screen 1 to screen 2. Let me show you how it works. So as you can see, that is the welcome screen, and then we are right back at the letters and numbers. So I'm going to show the example of how this works. Whenever I hit, for example, the number 2, it will say the correct pronunciation, and as you can see, the top image changed.
5, 10, 7.
And it's the same for the vowels.
A is for apple.
E, I, O, U.
6, 10.
So as you can see, it's very interesting and it works perfectly. So this was it for my app functioning, and now I'm going to continue explaining how I program it. So I think you can hear me now. I'm going to share my screen on how I programmed my application. Just wait a minute. All right. As you can see, I use the same App Inventor program to develop my application. This is the screen number 1. I used 4 parts to my screen interface. The first one is the screen number 1, obviously. The image you're watching right now, the Let's Learn image, and a text label including the vowels and numbers for the title, and this function called clock1. What this does is change automatically the screen and counts the time interval from time to time to measure it and then perform an action. The blocks section is pretty narrow. I only use 2 conditions. Whenever screen 1 initialized, the clock 1 is set to true. So the timer enable and the time interval will be at 1000 milliseconds, which is the same as 1 second. Then I use another condition that whenever the clock 1 timer enabled, it will turn it to a false statement. So whenever that timer is set to a false statement, then the screen 2 can be opened. And as you can see, here is the action. So now I'm going to jump to my screen 2. This is where it gets a little interesting. So as you can see, I used a pretty large bunch of arrangements and buttons to display my app interface. So I used the first arrangement to include the image, then I used another horizontal arrangement to create a little space, as you can see right here, and then I used another horizontal arrangement including the 11 buttons of the numbers from 0 to 10. Then I used another arrangement to create another space between, so it gets a little more well presented, let's call it. So then I added another table arrangement to include the 5 vowels, A, E, I, O, U. And that's it for my interface. As you can see, these are the media elements I used. There are a bunch of images and sounds for each one of the 11 buttons and the 5 vowels. So I'm going to jump to my block section, and here is where it gets a little interesting. I used basically 11 blocks, which are the same as you can see, 11 blocks for the 11 conditions in which the icon is pressed and the image changes and the sound is a different source. So I'm going to explain only the first one. When I hit the button 3, which is the number 0 in this case, then it will set the image. Instead of the let's learn image, it will change it to this title number 0, which is the icon number 0 I showed you previously. Then the sound, it will be set to this source, which is the sound for the 0 pronunciation I added. And then I will play it after I add the source, I can play it. And then I also added a function that what it does is it makes the phone vibrate, basically. So whenever I hit any of the 11 buttons, including the numbers, it will change my image, change my sound for the pronunciation, obviously start the sound, and vibrate for a determined time of milliseconds, which are 200, by the way. Then I also added a function for the background music. This is when screen 2 initializes, that it happens right after the screen 1 is changed. Then the call 1 player will be started. What is the player? The player is a function that will help me include a sound with a larger amount of time, and which I used for the background music. For the pronunciations of the numbers and letters, I use another option called sound, which is basically the same for the same, but it includes a shorter amount of range in the time interval. So then I move to the 5 conditions of the vowel icon. And whenever I press the button 14, 15, 17, 18, and 19, which as you can see are included in the arrangement of the vowels, as you can see, 14, 15, 17, 18, and 19. Whenever I hit on those icons, it will basically perform the same as the previous example of the numbers. It will change the image to its respective image, showing the letter, the big image. Then it will set the sound source to the respective source, including the pronunciation, obviously calling the sound to play, and the same vibration with the same time. So basically this is it for the programming of my screen 2, and this will be it for my application. I hope you enjoy it a lot, and I will see you on the next challenge.